The eyes of Texas are upon you.
When it comes to education, what are the eyes of Texas really seeing? Are we seeing that Texas is dead last in terms of high school graduation rates? That right here in Central Texas, more than 1 out of every 3 students who enter the 9th grade doesn't graduate 4 years later? That we're in the midst of a dropout crisis that's adding up fast? How fast? Since 1985, more than 2 million children dropped out of school, costing the state more than $500 billion. From 2000 to 2004, an alarming 140,000 out of roughly 380,000 Texas students dropped out of school. Then consider these facts. Dropouts are 75% more likely to be unemployed. Of all heads of households that are dropouts, half are on welfare. Not good news for a state that is the 4th worst in the country for children living in poverty, nor for rising health and welfare costs. What are the eyes of Texas really seeing? Are they seeing that 2/3 of the Texas prison population are dropouts? And yet, ironically, it costs twice as much per year to maintain a prisoner than to provide a student with an education.
We're either going to pay out in building better schools, building better support systems for students to help them be successful, or we're going to build bigger prisons.
Perhaps it's time to see why this crisis exists, what communities and schools is doing to help, and how, together, we can make a difference.
Unfortunately, there's children in our communities who are struggling with all sorts of things in their home lives, outside of school, that they bring with them to school on a daily basis. Homelessness or hunger or substance abuse, a variety of things that when a child is struggling with those issues, it impacts how they learn.
A lot of kids, surprisingly enough to me, deal with a lot of grief issues, unresolved grief from the loss of a loved one or a friend or some type of violence within the family. And so they come in just with a tremendous need.
I didn't have anyone to talk to when I was going through the adolescent teen years. I didn't have anyone to run to and tell my problems. That just led me to a lot of problems with like police and shoplifting and just things of that nature.
My parents are both deaf and substance abusers, and neither graduated high school. So I was always slated to be kind of one of those figures, a kid who's at risk of dropping out. It was something that I was kind of ashamed of.
And so that's the personality of some of the students that a teacher's dealing with. And if I had one of those students, that may be one thing. But if I have a classroom filled with 15 out of the 25 or out of the 30 that I have, over half of the class is filled with those students, then that makes for a different environment.
This is my 18th year in public schools. And so every year I see those challenges are increasing. We get more and more children that have harder home lives, harder situations that they live in, difficult situations, and it makes it harder for them to be able to learn.
The eyes of Texas need to see that together we can make a difference. In Central Texas, communities and schools sees more than 24,000 students a year. Of the 4,000 who were closely served, 84% received some sort of public assistance. 50% were dealing with emotional crisis or family conflict, and 82% had behavioral issues.
There's somebody that we know we have to have on our campus.
Communities and Schools tailors its programming around the specific needs of the students that are referred for services. Students can be referred by teachers or administrators at the school, or parents, or the students themselves often come seeking assistance. And really, based on whatever that student is needing at that time, we try to create our programming to help address that need. So it could be something like individual counseling that we provide, or it could be finding a resource in the community and help getting that student or that family hooked up with that resource.
We have the personnel, the staff there. We have caseworkers, we have tutors and mentors, as well as the program managers to staff the office. We can handle the things that the teachers can't handle inside the classroom.
If they're not able to do it, then they know who to contact in the community to help us.
Unfortunately, there are many students, many children who don't have a relationship with an adult of any significance in their life.
Just knowing that one person knows that you can do it means a lot, especially if they're not a part of your family and they're judging you for you, and them knowing that you can do it. That's all you need sometimes, just one person.
Building up a student's confidence, you're removing barriers to their success, whether or not that barrier is a learning barrier, whether or not it's an emotional barrier. Those barriers are being moved.
And it's unfortunate that more kids don't get a chance to work with CIS. I think in a perfect world, everybody would get that kind of attention from a teacher, from a counselor, or from a program like CIS where they're really there to help, and you get that attention, and that attention is what keeps kids in schools.
I love the attention of knowing that someone's proud of me, like knowing that I did a good job for someone. It makes me feel good, so sorry.
At the end of the year, we send out surveys to our teachers just to find out what kind of a job we're doing and suggestions for them, and always, it never fails, never ending. We need more staff, we need more of you. If there could be more of you, then you could do more work.
I will have teachers who will come in August before the school year starts, and they would say, "Is Communities in School still with us?" It's one of the best programs I've ever seen.
Communities in Schools works. Of the students served, 99% stayed in school, 87% advanced to grade level, 88% improved performance.
Had I not had great teachers, and had I not had a program like CIS to be involved in my life, I'd be in a totally different place right now.
I probably would have dropped out of school. If the social worker at Communities in Schools would have never been in my life, or would have never existed in my life, I think my life would have ran out at 15, and I wouldn't have given myself a chance ever.
The eyes of Texas are upon you.
The eyes of Texas. Working together, we can change what they see.